Hi, Jewish mom. Any of you who've been watching these pep talks for any amount of time know that I often quote my teacher, Rabbi Ari Niven, of the Rabbi Ari Niven Personal Development Chabures. So this month, Tevet marks January slash Tevet marks my 7th year, 7 whole years participating in Rabbi Niven's Chabures. It's really hard to believe that it's been so long. Um, and um, so I just wanted to, in honor of that, I want to tell you, not that I need any reason because I quote him basically every week, Berich, approximately. So I wanted to just talk with you about 2 things that Rabbi Niven was telling us about this week. One of the things that we were discussing in his Chabura is that right now, as of this past Saturday night, we opened and we entered a new period of the year called Tkufat Shovavim, the Shovavim period. So Shovavim, this word, it's an acronym of the upcoming parshas of the week, Shmot and on onward and whatever, Shovavim. And it's a time when we're supposed to be working on increasing holiness and purity and modesty, and working in connection with Hashem and holiness in our lives. And so I just wanted to just tell you, just to give you an idea of what I did with this last year. So during the Shovavim period, I decided to upgrade our internet filter. So as we all know, one of the greatest possible ways to destroy the purity of a Jewish home is through unprotected internet use. And so up until last year, then I had an internet filter, but it only worked during certain times of the day. Basically, I had it on when I was working on the computer, I didn't have a filter, and then when my kids came home, then there was a filter, but it wasn't an ideal situation. Sometimes my kids were home in the morning, then there's no filter. Sometimes I would see things that I would prefer not to come across on YouTube or wherever I was. So I ended up so basically what I did over the few weeks of Shovavim is I got recommendations from various people about filters that they recommended. And I remember I tried one filter and then ended up taking it away because wasn't a filter that worked well. And then I ended up then installing Internet Rimon, which for those who live in Israel is an excellent filter, which I've been very, very pleased with. And also together with K9, together they were basically, my computer guy recommended that I use them together, and I've been really pleased with that. So not that everyone has to follow exactly and get exactly those filters, but just to give you an idea of what I did. And so I'm still trying to think of it's only as of last night that we're into Kupat Shovavim, but I would like this year also to take on some small project to upgrade the level of holiness and modesty of my home and of my life. Okay, something to keep in mind. Okay, so I also want to tell you, so Rabbi Niven is giving a really interesting chabura on a 5-week series of classes on paradising your marriage, making your marriage better. So I'm in this class, and so he had a few ideas. So I just want to start out, give an introduction to this. This is not a joke that Rabbi Niven told, but a friend told me this morning a joke that I think gives kind of a good introduction to what Rabbi Niven was talking about this past class. So there was a my friend told me about a little like a frum comic strip which she saw, and in it there's a husband and a wife talking, and the wife says, and the wife is talking to the husband. The husband walks in the door, and the wife is saying, you wouldn't was telling him, this is who I saw today, and if I and this is what I told her. But if I told her what I'd wanted to tell her, then this is what it would have happened. This is really what I wanted to tell her. And this is like her going on and on about all like her different interactions. And then the husband's, his thought bubble is supper, 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 supper. Okay, so this is a bit of it. It's like an exaggeration. But when I heard it, I think that all of us who are wives, then we know that I think that many of us have an expectation when we get married that our husband is going to fulfill all of our emotional needs. And I know like at least like many people have said this, but also like Rebbetzin Heller, Rebbetzin Sipora Heller, she said like, don't do that. Do not go there. Do not expect your husband to fulfill all of your emotional needs. If you expect your husband, Baruch Hashem, like we love our husbands, and our husbands are good people, and our husbands really try to make us happy, but do not put that kind of pressure on your husband, that your husband, we as wives, we need a lot of support, we need a lot of emotional encouragement, and someone to validate us, and someone to hear all of our very, very important thoughts and feelings, etc. And it's too much to expect our husbands to do all of that, to put all that weight onto our husbands. So what do you do? What do you do when your husband, when you need more encouragement, when you need more love, when you need more validation for something that you're going through? So Rabbi Niven gives a few suggestions. He says like women need this. Women need a lot of love and encouragement. So what do you do? What do you do when your husband doesn't provide that? And I think like husbands, I think in general, are unable to provide all of a woman's emotional needs because we have so many of them. Okay, so the first thing that Rabbi Niven suggests is finding other sources of love and encouragement. For example, it could be, other family members, it could be friends, it could be your children, looking elsewhere, looking outside of your husband, trying to find other places. It could even be like a support group, like finding other people in your life who can provide that encouragement for you, and that love. The second thing, and I thought this was a very sweet idea, I would like to incorporate this more into my life, is the idea of self-congratulation. So Rabbi Niven was saying that, we, as we go about our lives, then we do so many things and no one gives us any feedback about them. We have so many accomplishments in our lives as mothers that receive no feedback. For example, you changed a diaper, you made your children's lunches, you took them to school, you took them home from school, you put in a load of laundry, you put it away. This child got on your nerves and still you managed to stay somewhat calm with him or her. All the various things. You changed a really dirty diaper. Okay, had one of those on Shabbat. I won't go into details. And what was I going to say? So what Rabbi Niven says is how important it is for us to self-congratulate ourselves. You changed that really dirty diaper. Way to go, Hannah Jenny. You took this child to Gan, even though you were really tired, and managed to do it like in a calm way, and da-da. Way to go, Hannah Jenny. You had lunch ready when your kids are home. Way to go, Hannah Jenny. You paid the bills. Way to go, Hannah Jenny. You really took care of that. You really taking care of your home and making sure that things function smoothly. Okay. This morning I went food shopping. Way to go, Hannah Jenny. There will be food in the Weisberg home this week. Way to go. And Baruch Hashem, husbands do provide a certain level of encouragement and thank you. But still, in every case, there's a myriad of things that we're doing that husbands will never see, the husbands will never respond to. It's so important that we learn that skill. And Rabbi Niven said, this is hard. This is a hard one. But it's really important for us to get into the habit of really appreciating ourselves. I know I do that very rarely, and I would like to do it more. That's something I would like to do more. Okay, and the third thing that Rabbi Niven said is really feeling Hashem's approval. Rabbi Niven, he very frequently quotes a quotation from Rav Chaim Vital, who said that the Jews living at the end of days, so they are greater than the greatest tzaddikim, the greatest righteous people of previous generations. What does that mean? So people living now, like as we approach the Messianic era, so we who are just living regular Jewish lives, Jewish mom, like regular Jewish moms like you and me, making Shabbos, keeping kosher, raising Jewish children, saying brachot before we eat, davening, as much as we can. So we are, according to Rav Chaim Vital, we are even greater than the greatest tzaddikim of previous generations, because we're managing to do it, that we are still in the game. The year 2017, and we are still here. We're still living as observant Jews. Like, there are a few, there are quite a few of us, but Rabbi Niven always points out, like, with all the challenges that there are, like all of the, that it's such an incredible thing that we are just still showing up, that we're still part of the game, that we are still here, that we are still living as Jews, and we need to appreciate that. We need to always feel Hashem's approval. Feel that, like you're a Jewish mom, putting a regular day as a Jewish mom, raising a Jewish children, taking care of a Jewish home, with all of the challenges that entails, and feeling Hashem's love. Feeling deep down, just feeling, okay, like I put in a day as a Jewish mom in a Jewish home, raising Jewish children. Hashem loves me so much. And I didn't do anything exceptional. I didn't do something spectacular, but just doing that, just putting one foot in front of another, and smiling at your children, and smiling at your husband, and there was food on the table, and got the kids to bed at a reasonable time, and got them up at a reasonable time, and that we just living by this life, it's extraordinary. And the nachas, and feeling, what we need to do is feel the nachas that Hashem gets from us just by living this regular Jewish mom life. Okay? So in conclusion, I was talking about Tekufat Shovavim. Right now we've entered a new period of the Jewish year. It says several weeks, the coming weeks, I think maybe 6 weeks, when we're supposed to be working on increasing our holiness, increasing our modesty, working on increasing holiness and modesty in our lives, and so last year I told you that I worked on getting an internet filter, and I think that it's good, like, for all of us to have a small Shovavim project. And I'm still trying to figure out what mine is going to be for this year, but something to keep in mind for the coming weeks. So the next thing that Rabbi Niven, I've been taking a special class with Rabbi Niven on marriage, and he's been talking about how husbands are really they're not able to deal, like, women have real emotional female needs, and how do we get those emotional needs satisfied, the needs for love and encouragement satisfied, when our husband is really unable to provide all of those needs? So one thing he said is looking for other people in your life who can provide those sources of love and encouragement. Number 2, self-congratulation. You did it. You changed the diaper. You gave the kids lunch. You didn't blow up at the 4-year-old when he drove you crazy. Self-congratulations. Way to go, Jewish mom. And then feeling Hashem's approval, knowing, that Rav Chaim Vital says that a Jew living a regular Jewish life at the end of days, we're greater than the greatest tzaddikim of previous generations. But we are still here. We're still in the game. We're still keeping Shabbos. Unbelievably, who would believe after all these thousands of years? And with all the distractions of this very not Jewish Western culture influencing us. So we are still Jewish. We're still keeping Shabbat. We're still keeping kosher. We're still keeping all the mitzvot. We're raising our children as Jews, despite all the pressures to stop doing that, and to feel Hashem's approval, to feel like Hashem's nachas from us that we're living this way. Okay? I want to bless all of you Jewish moms with an amazing week.